The opinions and suggestions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and are not necessarily endorsed by KRMG, Cox Media Group Incorporated, or the program sponsors. Information in this broadcast is not intended as an investment, tax, or financial advice. Matthew Moore is not a licensed investment advisor and speaks solely from his experience and opinions. All information in this broadcast is for entertainment or educational purposes only. Matthew Moore, Causeway LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa are not responsible for the success or failure of any person's investment decisions or purchases. Matthew Moore, Causeway LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa makes no and expressly disclaims all representations, warranties, and guarantees with respect to this broadcast and its sponsors. Investing in any market is inherently risky and can be financially dangerous. Invest at your own risk. Gather knowledge in the world of cryptocurrency right now on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk. Welcome to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Matthew is locally based right here in Tulsa. Questions, comments, concerns? Call 918-460-5764 or send us an open mic using the KRMG app. Now, here's Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore.
And good Sunday evening to you. My name is Russell Mills. Thanks for tuning in for Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We are live and local in the big city of Tulsa, and we are digging for digital gold. And it was a bumpy week out there working those mines. You saw some excitement, maybe some fear, and Matt is here to talk about all that. He brings his friend with him. I'll let him introduce Eric. Matt, welcome. And you came in loaded for bear today. You said you're fat on content. You're good.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Russell. We are super thick on content today. We are here to calm your fears and concerns because I know a lot of you guys who are invested in cryptocurrency are probably asking yourself some serious questions. What the heck did I get myself into? Eric Cooper, he's my co-host today. Eric, are you doing okay? Are you swimming in some blood, or are you buying that dip?
You know what? I actually been moving for the past couple days, and I don't stare at water while it boils. I don't stare at the scales when I'm trying to lose weight. So you know what? I understand. We're going to have ups. We're going to have downs. And I've already been talking to people who have said, hey, we got a little bit of a 6-month rewind. And if you felt like you missed out, it's game time. Let's do it now. Don't miss out again.
Yeah, this is a long-term game. Yeah, people who get in crypto, they think they're going to get rich fast. And you know what? It's a get rich slow. but you definitely got to watch the cycles. And this is a blessing because I'm buying the dip. This isn't financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I am buying the dip. You better believe it. And I'm happy to hear that you are too, Eric. But before we jump into the show, I just wanted to make a quick announcement. Everybody loves their mother, and maybe you called your mother when you looked at your portfolio this week, or maybe your mother called you when you looked at your portfolio. Or
my mom and I just talked about it literally about an hour ago, and I have a friend who's like, hey, you know what? I feel like I missed out, so I'm probably not going to get in crypto. And my mom goes, you talk to Eric. He knows a little bit about that. And so we had a conversation. My mom brought it up. My mom's trying to push it.
Oh,
I love it.
Wow.
So, but that's not about my mom. Let's talk about your mom, Matt.
It's funny because the month of May is a pretty epic month for me. Last weekend was my dad's birthday. Now it's my mother's birthday. So, Kathy Moore, if you're listening, happy birthday. I love you lots, Mom.
Should we sing?
Not right now. We got a lot. We got too much content to go into. But let's go ahead. Just take a deep breath. Okay, here we go. We're going to dive right into this. Okay, so this show, I've got some statistics, I've got some history, I've got some cycles, some charts to go over. And if you want to take a look at some of the charts that we might be talking about, some of the graphics, and you want to participate with us, you can go to my website, mattjmoore.com. That's Moore with 2 O's. Or you can go to Instagram. CryptoMoore is my handle. And I have the pictures I posted on there that I'll be having here in studio that we'll be talking about. But we've got some good information to cover that hopefully will calm your nerves. And we also have maybe some conspiracy theories to talk about, for some entertainment. But also there is some unbelievable computer data that may have predicted this huge market dump 4 years ago. Can you believe that? And so if you want to hear that, if you want to find out what that's all about, please keep listening because we're going to talk about that later in the show. And I think your mind might just be blown. It's pretty cool. But all hope is not lost.
But Matt, you told me, hey, do the show, buy crypto. You're going to be rich. All right, so you're telling me, was that correct?
If you're trying to tell lies, spread fear, spread uncertainty and doubt, Like, shame on you, Eric.
KRMG will kick you off the radio for spreading your falseness.
Well, we like to call a lot of this fear mongering FUD. You're spreading fear and uncertainty and doubt. And you know what? That's the sound. You know what? You know what they call somebody who's not afraid?
What is that?
Diamond hands. They got diamond hands. They've been buying up the market from all those newbies who've been selling their crypto thinking it's going to zero. So I'm a diamond hand holder. I wish I had 2 diamonds so I could make some sound effects. That would be way cool. But I think the thing we got to keep in mind is the market was super frothy. Okay. And we had a lot of new people, a lot of new money, and I don't want to offend anybody. There's a lot of dumb money too in the space, thinking that Dogecoin's going to go to $30,000, $50,000 a
to
coin.
To
the moon, right? And there was a lot of leverage in the space. I think it was like, I was reading a graphic, I think there was like 800,000 people got liquidated who were over leveraged in this latest dump. The volatility is real. And if this is your first giant dip in the cryptocurrency market, consider this your initiation.
I was going to say, welcome aboard. Those who've been around for a while will tell you it won't be the last one, wasn't the first one. I think, and you made this point last week, this is not the commodity to go out and borrow money or spend the grocery money to invest in. You only want to invest what you can afford to lose, because the profits are also potentially really good.
Right. Yep.
But it is very volatile, and this thing goes up and down faster than anything I've ever seen, even oil.
That's right. Well, Eric, do you know who said, "Be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful"? Do you know who might have said that?
LeBron James. Okay.
And that wasn't
Good
a buzzer
guess,
shot. No, that was actually. Why am I blinking on it now? The really rich guy up in Nebraska.
Warren Buffett?
Warren Buffett. That's right. Warren Buffett. Yeah, I was losing.
The really rich guy in
It was
Nebraska.
a lucky guess. I'm thinking Omaha.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Omaha, right?
Peyton Manning.
He definitely said that, and there is a lot of truth to that. And no, cryptocurrency is not going to zero. I'm an OG in this space. I've seen these kind of dumps happen often.
So it's normal.
This is totally normal. In fact, if you go to 99bitcoins.com, they actually they have an obituary section when they talk about every time that Bitcoin is quote unquote dead, or there's a news article that says Bitcoin's dead or Bitcoin is going to be no more. And since the creation of that website, or I think it actually goes back sometime in Bitcoin's history, but 414 times, basically Bitcoin's been declared dead. So this thing is resilient. So please, if you're new in this game, stay in it, because you will be heavily rewarded. Bitcoin is very cyclical, and people are just not used to the volatility, but the volatility is your friend. If you really want to be in the space, volatility is your friend. Despite crypto being close to a $2 trillion market cap, because it was a $2 trillion market cap, but not anymore. But that market cap is small compared to other markets, guys. So really, big money can move these markets up and down due to how small the liquidity is compared to other markets. More money, though, that comes into the space, the less volatile it'll become. It's pretty typical. Every bull market, there's 6 to 9 major corrections. During the 2017 bull market, we had about 6 corrections greater than 30% and 2 around 40%. Now, we're sitting around 50% in a correction, but I'm still not scared because the fundamentals are still strong. The indicators still show that we're still in a bull market. In the 12 years of Bitcoin's history, the average drawdown from a record high was 48%. Everyone thought it was the end, but surely enough, it never was. So we're going to go on to make higher highs and higher lows. That's just part of the process. And the numbers, as they get bigger, as the price gets stronger and bigger, these corrections, everything gets scarier. When something's $10 and goes to $5, nobody really seems to care that much. But when it's $60,000 and goes to $30,000, people lose their stuff. I mean, they lose their shirt, they lose their cool, especially if you're leveraged. Did you have something to say, Rick?
Oh, well, you reminded me of an old joke. If you owe the bank $10, that's your problem. If you owe the bank $10 million, that's their problem. Yeah. But it's about scale,
right?
And you're right. When there's when the market cap of this entire world of cryptocurrencies is this big compared to all the other possible ways to invest out there, it doesn't take a lot of money to move it significantly.
Right. Yeah. And, Bitcoin has compounded 223% per year for the last 11 years. So we have to have volatility. And, this is the same type of volatility of Amazon stock. And when was the right time to sell Amazon? Never. So volatility is our friend, guys. Definitely. So, Eric, any closing thoughts till we go to our next segment?
It just makes sense. There's only so much Bitcoin, and there's ever increasing supply of dollars, and the adoption of Bitcoin is growing. And if you are sitting here thinking, well, Elon is the reason why this is up and down, or China, no. Get in there, stand strong, be firm, and trust us when we tell you this, because you're going to be rewarded.
Bitcoin is not dead. It's still going to be around. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about what did happen this week, so what some of the factors that might cause the price to go up or down. But if you are interested and you have found the right show, okay? And remember, you can always go back and listen to our previous broadcasts. They're up on krmg.com as podcasts. On demand is the section you want on our section or our website, or on the KRMG app. And then, of course, there's always Matt's website, mattjmoore with 2 O's.com. More cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore coming up on 102.3 KRMG. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. My name is Russell Mills. Appreciate you tuning in. We are live and local in the big city of Tulsa on this May afternoon. We've got a little bit of rain out there. Not too bad. We've got another rainy week coming ahead of us. It was a stormy week for folks in the cryptocurrency world as we saw Bitcoin take a bit of a hit. Actually, a pretty substantial one. And so Matt J. Moore is here to talk about what happened, why it happened, and what we should do about it. And essentially what I hear you saying is don't freak out.
Exactly. The markets are extremely bloody. We took like 50%. We went down. I mean, it was nuts. But a lot of people, this is their first ride. This is their first roller coaster in the cryptocurrency space. And this is nothing new for the people who've been here for a long time. This is initiation, essentially. And I'm going to just calm everybody and tell you, if you make emotional decisions and you act out of fear, and you either buy or sell, and you don't look at the history, you don't look at the fundamentals, the statistics, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to hurt yourself if you act emotionally, and that's how people get wrecked. And I just don't want to see people get wrecked. The volatility is crazy compared to traditional markets, but it's pretty cyclical, and it's funny how the Bitcoin history often rhymes quite well. And this volatility is honestly our friend and not really our enemy. And I just want to tell you that the fundamentals for cryptocurrency and for Bitcoin have never been stronger. There's more users, there's more wallet addresses, more talent in products, more capital in the space, more attention. Basically, what we're witnessing is a healthy capitulation. And this is just normal cycles. And within Bitcoin's bull market cycles, we've had major dumps like this, 48%, 38%. I mean, we've had 6 to 9 regular giant corrections in a bull market. And so if you're thinking about like cutting your losses and getting out of the space, I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice, but all the people who stuck around long term have benefited quite well. And Eric Cooper, he's our co-host today, and he's with me here in studio. Eric, you're not cutting your losses, right? You're staying in. You're actually buying the dip.
Yeah, and I sent you a text message the other day. Everything about me says, we're building a house, moving into an apartment, doing all this extra stuff, but it's too good to pass up because, again, if you think right now, I just had this conversation an hour ago. If you think, hey, man, I really should have gotten in last year when things were low. I mean, this is a gift. This is a gift. Mm-hmm. And if you come in the market right now, you're coming in at a better price point than when, I personally jumped in. So I've bought a lot this week, and I want, it hasn't rewarded me yet.
Well, and it's crazy because it was so hard to buy the dip because everybody's exchanges and apps that they were using to buy the stuff was malfunctioning because there were so many buy orders taking place or so many people trying to buy the dip. These user interfaces, these companies that are offering these products and services, they were having a problem.
It's not you, it's us.
Yeah. But, interesting fact, 215,000 Bitcoin were bought up in the past 30 days by institutions. And these institutions are not looking for a quick flip. They are long-term holders. They've got a long-term investment strategy. So if you are selling your Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, you are selling it to them. And also, the one thing you got to remember, every time you see a bull market in the cryptocurrency space, it never ends, or at least in its history. This would be extremely odd if this was the case. But every bull market usually has a blow-off top. And it ends in this face-melting, every day you're waking up, prices blowing up, and you're like making, $1,000, $10,000 a day, and you're just like, I'm the wisest, smartest, best guy ever at investing, like this was the smartest decision I ever made. Like it's total euphoria. And we've not seen the euphoria moment. Yes, people have made lots of money, and we are halfway through this bull market cycle, but we are nowhere near the euphoria phase. And what we witnessed over the last couple weeks and months is a consolidation and accumulation patterns. And so it's very odd for a bull market to end like that. So that's another indicator why I don't believe that it's the end of the bull market for this cycle. But let's see here. I've got I've ridden these cycles out before, and I've seen this before. And one thing that you need to consider is there is a thing called the stock to flow, this charting or mechanism that was created by this guy named Plan B. He's on Twitter as $100 trillion USD. This guy's model, stock to flow, has never been wrong, and it's still on point. And you might be asking your question, what is stock to flow? Stock to flow ratios are used to basically evaluate the current stock of a commodity, basically the total amount currently available, against the flow of new production, amount mined, that specific year. So, adoption's growing, attention is growing in the space. People are getting excited. People are buying Bitcoin, but every 4 years we have a halvening. And so the newly minted supply of Bitcoin that gets issued by the miners gets cut in half. We went from, 12.5 to 6.25? And typically every time we have a halving, which the last halving was in last May, we enter into a bull market. And sure enough, we're definitely in a new bull market. But if you look at the chart, Eric, I put there, and if you want to follow along, you can go to my Instagram at Crypto More. I've got some of the charts up there. But typically, when we follow this stock to flow model, at the end of a bull market, we usually overshoot the projections. And right now, the projections are sitting around $200,000 as the market cap, or the market top, I should say. So we're not even close to that yet. And, considering that, we're halfway through this bull market, he's got a range here. He sent out a tweet, and he says price is at the lower bound of the stock to flow model. Am I worried? Nope. The lower band and the upper band. So the upper band is 120K. So that's where if it was hot and heavy, we'd probably be sitting at $120,000 Bitcoin. Model price, $60,000 right now, which we were pretty close to that 60,000 mark.
We were at 58 and change, yeah.
Yep. And then the lower band is about 30,000. So, and I think we're at like 33,000. So we're still within the stock to flow model band or range, I should say. So, but if we stay there for a couple of months at that $30,000 to $32,000 mark, we might have to reconsider our narrative here and look at and do a little bit deeper diving. But Eric, you made a good point earlier. With an asset that's limited in supply, growing in demand, and a world of really ever increasing dollars, it just kind of makes sense that stuff like this happens, and especially when adoption is growing.
And if you look at the chart, it looks like we've got about another 113 days, 120 days left in the bull market, and that's obviously if history stays to form. So I mean, it's going to be a sweet, sweet, sweet rise.
Right. If you look at the past bull market cycles, going back to, what was it? Let's see, 2010 here, you've got 370 days of the bull market. And then you had the Let's see. No. Actually, I might be reading this wrong, but you have the halvening. It shows the halvening. And then essentially like you said, if the chart is right, we've got like 100 and, what'd you say, 13?
113, yeah.
113 days left. So, yeah, I mean, history doesn't necessarily repeat, but it often eerily rhymes. It's funny how that works. But I definitely want to encourage you, if you want to look at these charts, I also posted some other ones. Go to my website, mattjmoore.com, or my Instagram at cryptomore.com. And when we come back, we'll talk more about this.
Okay, and Bob is playing the music, and I think that means that we got to take a quick time out. Yeah, but that's okay. We're going to go do the news for you. Before we do that, when we come back, Matt, can we talk a little bit about what happened this last week? Because I'm still curious as to why there was this massive dip. So we'll chat about that a little bit. But the theme here today is, if you're going to invest in something that's volatile, you should expect some volatility. Huh? Drive you nuts if you don't. But keep paying too close attention might also drive you crazy. So just tune into this show once a week. We'll keep you informed. Look, we got to take a quick time out for the news and the weather, get you caught up and all that. We'll be back with more of Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. My name is Russell Mills. We are live and local in the big city of Tulsa, and we've been talking about the bumpy week that cryptocurrencies had on the markets, and there was some volatility. And at one point, the most popular cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, dropped almost half of its value. Now, it made up some ground Thursday and Friday. This primarily was on Wednesday. Thursday and Friday made up a little ground. Matthew J. Moore here to kind of guide us through what happened, why it happened, and what we should all do about it, which what I hear you saying is sit tight.
Absolutely, Russell. We all need to sit tight, and especially if you're invested in the space, this is not the end of the world. You're talking to a crypto OG here who has seen these cycles multiple times. And in fact, I got two charts in front of me. And if you want to follow along and you want to see some of these images that I have posted, you can go to my website, mattjmoore.com, and I've got my Instagram feed there, along with just going to my handle at Instagram, CryptoMore, and you can take a look at some of these graphs. But Eric Cooper, he's our co-host here today. And Eric, you're not afraid, are you?
It's not going to bother me one bit. It's time to buy. If you are really interested in getting into this and this is something big to you, don't let ups and downs, make your decisions for you. You got to hop in, you got to ride it out, because there's a lot of dumb money and there's a lot of people who are just, knocking a few bucks in there and maybe buying $20, $100, $50 here. And so they've accumulated a good amount, and now they're going, uh-oh, what did I do? And I could use that, $1,500 for something else instead of riding this crud. So,
well, and if you look at the on-chain, the blockchain data, basically the Bitcoins that were sold were ones that were in wallets that were fairly new and hadn't been held for a long time. Mm-hmm. So when you see these movements, the people who are buying right now are the people who've been in cryptocurrency for quite some time, and they've seen these cycles play out. And so, these new guys, these newbies, I mean, they're getting played. And there's some big money that, they say that when institutions miss the boat, they bring the boat back. So there's a lot of leverage trading that takes place out there. People are using money that they don't have, and then when big whales sell money or sell cryptocurrency and they try to cash out in large amounts, these guys who are long in the market, they get destroyed. And then it's just a waterfall effect. But what's fascinating, talking about history and cycles, if you go back to we talked a little bit in the previous segment about the Bitcoin halvings and how every time there's a Bitcoin halving, shortly after we see a bull market. Well, if you go 373 days, this was from 2020, last May, 373 days, we're in the middle of this big correction, this big dip. Well, if you go back to the bull market and you look at the halving that took place in 2016 and you go 372 days, you saw a 55% dump or correction. So it's crazy, almost just a day off that in the middle of the last bull market cycle, they had a dip like this. So, I just think it's eerie how much history and how much of this stuff repeats and replays. I mean, because investing is an emotional thing. And people who are new to the space, they're definitely going to be, emotional. And, there's usually 6 to 9 major corrections in every bull market cycle in Bitcoin. But, Eric, I think you've got some news for us. There was, I guess, let's see here. How many people got leveraged or who were leveraged and basically were liquidated?
800,000 leveraged crypto traders were liquidated during this last meltdown. And, the fear and greed index, extreme fear, is out there. And so you got to, if you want to really get serious about this, buy when there's blood on the streets. Big money is buying the dip. And if you are selling off right now, intelligent long-term investors are buying it. Yep. And so, you know what? If you said it in past shows, which when Russell said earlier, go to krmg.com on demand, go back and check out our first 5 episodes at this point. And so if you want to really dig in there, it's game time. Don't waste money that you're not willing to lose. So if you've got $1,200 that you really just you got to have back, this isn't for you. But if you want to really put your foot in, it's time to buy.
So I'm sorry, leveraged investors, by that you mean they're borrowing money.
They're borrowing money they don't have.
To invest.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I'll go back to what I said earlier, which is for this, especially something this volatile, doesn't sound like the best plan to me. It's like you should invest money that you could afford to lose, but once you're in, right? And let's say that I jumped in and put $1,000 in, a couple of weeks ago, and then last week, suddenly my $1,000 was worth $500. By selling, essentially what I do is lock in that loss and make it permanent.
Yeah, you only lose money when you sell when you're down.
When you sell. So if you don't sell, just saying, if you just hold on. History has told us so far with Bitcoin over and over and over again. You guys said this has happened many times.
Many times.
It does come back.
Right.
But now if I've sold my Bitcoin, what do I have to do? Go turn around and spend more money to No, that doesn't make any sense. Now, I guess what I'm saying is if you're going to get in, stay in.
Yeah.
But don't invest money you can't afford to lose. That just makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, it's common sense. And all the people who are not leverage trading, because you really got to know what you're doing. You really got to watch the charts. You really got to be involved in a day trading scenario on a regular basis to be any good at it. And I don't recommend it. I'm not a day trader. I'm a hodler, which basically means I'm holding on for dear life. And I'm stacking sats and I'm putting them away underneath my bed. And I'm just watching those things appreciate over time. Like I said, it's a cycle of higher highs and higher lows. You have an asset that is limited in supply. It's the scarcest asset that humans have right now that they're utilizing in a world of ever-increasing fiat money. It just makes sense. We talked a little bit about the stock-to-flow model, which has a lot to do with that. But interesting fact, based off of the crypto quant analytics, in 24 hours after the dump, $5.2 billion in stablecoins, which is basically a 1-for-1 ratio. So one stable coin for $1, it's backed by $1, moved onto exchanges to begin buy orders, marking a new all-time high.
So I have to stop you because there's a lot of terms that you're using. People may not understand this. A stable coin is what, and then what does that really mean?
Stable coins are really used for trading purposes, honestly, most of the time. It's way to take your profits, keep them in crypto, but make sure you don't have the volatility. So they're supposed to be backed 1-for-1 with $1. So, even though the dollar is losing value every year, it's not dropping 50% in a day.
Yeah.
So it's it's just a mechanism that traders use. But what that's by reading that statistic basically shows that there's money that went onto the exchanges at a record high to start buying this dip.
Yep.
Smart money. That's smart money. That they know what they're doing. And that inflow is greater than what took place when Tesla made its big announcement to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So if that tells you something, I know, and I think you have an article there from Bloomberg Intelligence.
So my segment right here is called "It's Here and It's Getting Mainstream." Bloomberg Intelligence says that in this latest dip, Bitcoin is the biggest buying opportunity in the bull market, and this week's price dip showed that cryptocurrency has entered the mainstream. There's an analyst, Mike McGlone, that I think that I say his name correctly, and he says the future is likely tilted in its favor.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, and so McGlone is not alone in considering ignoring the broader market trend being intact after this week's volatility. Earlier, Cointelegraph noted statistician Willie Woo's estimate was
He's
Bitcoin
amazing.
is only halfway through this current bull cycle. And then he was joined by Plan B. So we talked about his tweet here a little bit earlier, and he's the creator of the stock to flow family of Bitcoin price models. And he says he's in appearance on Wolf of Wall Street podcast likely guessed that we're 50% through the bull market. So we've seen the dips. It's happened before. We know what's about to happen. So again, don't be scared with your money. If you want to hop in, it's time to hop in. And if you are in right now and you're sitting there scratching your head going, I'm listening to these two jerks, talk about this, just calm down.
And the fundamentals are strong. I was buying Bitcoin when it was around $800. I was buying Bitcoin at the last top of the last bull market at $20,000. I was buying Bitcoin at the bottom of the bear market at $3,000. I was buying Bitcoin recently. I buy Bitcoin all the time. And guess what? I still make money.
And Matt, you came to me when we first started talking about this show and said, you had a smile on your face and you said, I've had an amazing year. Yeah. And it's because you didn't get scared.
Right. And, and sure, I take profits along the way. If I want to buy something nice for myself, if I want to reward myself for being so, I'm not going to tap myself on the back there.
Disciplined.
Disciplined. Yeah. And so, those are those diamond hands, those strong hands, you gotta pay attention to the space. But, there's a lot of conspiracy right now on the internet talking about that this was a coordinated effort.
So what did, in your opinion, right, and you guys are as close as you get to a professional expert, because right, this is a brand new thing.
Yeah,
right?
You don't go to school for this.
No, there's no classes yet, I don't think, or just barely. Maybe in blockchain there is, but not specifically in what you're doing. So what do you think happened? Or was this just, the market forces in play?
Market forces in play, but to summarize it, honestly, we had a lot of new money that jumped in the space halfway through this bull market cycle. A lot of people were leveraged. A lot of people were using money that they didn't have. And big money came in, sold, liquidated a bunch of people, made a lot of money, and now they're buying up the dip. Okay? So the people who lost were the dumb money. So they and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but it's the truth. And this happens time and time again in cryptocurrency. These are just very volatile cycles. And I've come to get used to them.
There's a lot of buyers, Russell, that they don't know really what they're doing. My buddy buys Bitcoin. He bought this. And so now I've hopped in a little bit. And so they go to check their wallet and they talk about it a little bit. And then they say, hey, did you see that the market's dropping and it's just plummeting? And so they go, and they get out of it. And that's it. And so there's a lot of people who have done that. They're not in this for the long haul. They're trying to do it as a talking piece. This is a social media type of a thing too. And
yep, and I'd say hang on, keep listening, because I got some fun information. There's a conspiracy right now going around saying that this was some large money from China trying to liquidate a certain person or group of people. Some speculate it was Justin Sun, who is the creator of a cryptocurrency called Tron, who I think he's had some rough run-ins with the Chinese government. But they say they're wanting to get the price down to 25,000, or at least wick down there for a moment. I don't know if it's going to happen. These are just rumors, so don't take my word for it. But however, I can tell you some amazing computer data that was created that wasn't conspiracy, some reports I've been following since 2016 and maybe earlier. But History Channel has covered this guy who created this thing called the WebBot. And the WebBot predicted 9/11. He tried to warn the federal government about it. They was like, all right, man, you're crazy. Then when it happened, they were like, how'd you know this? And so, but the History Channel featured this guy's work. And basically, it's a bunch of these bots that crawl the internet, and there's emotional values tied to certain words. And basically, he collects this information, and he creates these reports from it. And the premise is that we all humans are connected somehow, some shape, some way, and emotional or consciously. And so whether we know it or not, throughout time, we're using words, we're writing, we're blogging, we're taking actions, we're doing things maybe unaware, but there's a commonality. And so this WebBot picks up this commonality and is able to somehow predict the future to some degree. Has it always predicted it? Nope, not at all. But about 40% of the time, it's predicted some amazing events. So when we come back, I want to cover and talk a little bit about that.
All right, we are going to take a quick time out. You're listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. We got to pay a couple bills right now, but hang in there. We'll be right back.
In conventional, FHA, VA, Native American 184, and rural development home loans. They have flexible terms that make getting a mortgage hassle-free. Get more info by calling 918-369-2424 or visit firstprioritybank.com for details about loan costs and terms.
It's all military record.
First Priority Bank is an equal housing lender, member of FDIC.
Best theme music on KRMG. It is Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. And you hear the cash registers ringing? It's because there's a lot of money involved in this industry. We are digging for digital gold, talking about a bad day in the mines. We had kind of a mine collapse, sort of, I guess, metaphorically speaking. But is Bitcoin dead? Is it dead in the water? Matthew J. Moore is our cryptocurrency expert. What do you think, Matt?
Absolutely not, Russell. I mean, Bitcoin's died 414 times.
Right. If you thought Mark Twain's death was prematurely reported, yeah. Good.
Yeah. So, but we're here to calm your fears if you're invested in the market. Eric Cooper, he's our co-host here today. We've been going through some charts and some historical data. History is funny because it doesn't necessarily repeat, but often eerily rhymes.
Also Mark Twain.
Right?
Also
Right?
Mark Twain. Yep.
So, Eric, what are your thoughts so far, buddy?
Yep. First of all, you said happy birthday to your mom. I want to say hi to my kids, Bentley and Witten. They're listening right now. So, hey, kids. And they know. They've started hearing these things. I'm not scared. Dad's not scared. This is an opportunity, and you need to look at it. Look at it as an opportunity. If you see fear, that you're never going to see anything else. And there are rumors galore out there, Matthew.
There is
rumors, and that's what they are.
Well, I thought I could believe everything I saw on the internet, but
I would recommend against that, Matt.
dang, my life is a lie. No, so actually, but some interesting data that did come from the internet that we were talking a little bit before we went on break. I've been following this guy's reports. Originally, I heard about him on the History Channel when they did a feature on a thing called the Webbot, and this guy was able to predict 9/11 through these web bots that crawl the internet for keywords and commonalities and has emotional values tied to words. It's kind of some interesting information, some interesting perspective. But he originally created this to try to get a hand up on stock trading. But what he found was that it was pulling in all sorts of other information about, human events that were taking place. And the premise of it, whether you believe it or not, whether you think it's something spiritual, consciousness, law of attraction, whatever you want to classify it, I'm a firm believer. I'm a Christian, and I believe that we're all interconnected. I believe that, the Spirit works through us. But they basically what this report was saying, or does say, is that there are keywords, actions, things that take place that we often utilize or write down or say, and maybe subconsciously we're unaware of it. But in 2018, one of his reports, oddly enough, predicted this collapse in price. And I just want to read a little bit. This is from page 20 of 36. And he says, of note, there is a correction in Bitcoin, and this correction takes place at 64,000. And we hit 64,000, which is funny. These sets are also forecasting a lot of chatter around the $64,000 question and other puns and humorous setups and jokes. These occur to model space ahead of the correction, and many of their authors will be subsequently lambasted and baited and blamed for the price drop of 64,000 or at 64,000. And what did we see right before this correction? We saw a lot of memes, jokes. Dogecoin was flying up. Elon Musk is getting blamed for his crazy tweets and his humor around Dogecoin and bashing Bitcoin. He's being blamed for this. And you got people like Bill Maher. You got other influential people that are joking about cryptocurrencies, and a lot of people are pointing fingers at them. Now, whether they're the sole reason or not, I found that it was very interesting that this report in 2018, which I read, had said this. And it goes on to say that linguistics do not tell us on which side of the numbers we will encounter the correction. The data does promise a correction, and it will be brief, and it will be physically shocking, producing vomiting and fainting. Yet another Bitcoin move in the 30-plus range, only now in numbers so large as to have jokes about Bitcoin price swings and making people puke. And I don't know about you, but anybody who looked at their portfolio and it went down 50% from $64,000 to $30,000, they're like, their stomach's rolling around. So whether you want to believe that or not, I will mention that I have read another report from his stuff from back in 2017, 2018 that said, Bitcoin's going to get to $100,000. And when that takes place, there'll be some $100,000 Bitcoin parties. But you know what? That's just kind of common sense. If anything goes to $100,000, we're all going to be having parties about it. So
yeah, Matt, tell me about the $21 million club.
$21 million club, or the 21 million club.
21 million club.
There's only going to ever be 21 million Bitcoins.
Yep.
And you want to make sure it's your goal to have one Bitcoin to be a part of that club. And a lot of people who are buying the dip, they're trying to be a part of that club.
Yeah.
They're smart money. So I hope you're trying to be a part of the club.
You see, I keep on seeing less zeros after the decimal. And so that's one of my goals, is to have one.
Well, you know what? It's funny because they say people who hold 5,000 Bitcoin or more are considered humpback whales in this Bitcoin ocean. People who own 1,000 to 4,999 Bitcoin, they're considered just a regular whale. People who are a shark own 500 to 999 Bitcoin. People who are a dolphin, 100 to 499 Bitcoin. And then a fish is 50 to 99 Bitcoin. An octopus is 10 to 49 Bitcoin. And a crab is 1 to 9 Bitcoin. And, well, honestly, a shrimp is less than 1 BTC. So we have an ocean of little critters who are buying up Bitcoin, who are trying to create the new future of cryptocurrency.
I kind of feel like Sebastian from Little Mermaid. And but if you're scared of this recent drop, don't be. It's the whales are trying to shake out the crypto out of the weak hands.
Yeah, that's right. The bull market comes in 3 waves, and I think we've completed the first one. Lawrence Summers, who's the previous chief economist of the World Bank and former Treasury Secretary and former director of the National Economic Council, has stated that this is going to be around. It's going to be a prominent part of our future.
Yeah, it's not going to go away. It's too ubiquitous. And Bitcoin, by the way, is not the only cryptocurrency. It's just the one everybody talks about, right? There's other ones out there. Hey, thanks for tuning in for Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We appreciate it. We will be here every Sunday at 5 p.m. Count on it. And don't forget, you can look at our old episodes or listen to them on KRMG.com. I'm Russell Mills. See you here next week.